Hi everyone and welcome to another video here with the Feel Good Cafe, and today brain fogs. And I want to talk about brain fogs because this is something which I personally suffer a lot with for many years. For those of you who have been following my journey, I've got chronic fatigue syndrome, also known as ME, fibromyalgia, IBS, and one of the main things that affect me and my function day to day is brain fogs. So what is brain fog? Brain fog is when you can't think or see clearly, you can't comprehend what's happening exactly to you. Now there's a variant levels of it and I'm going to cover it here. So let's start with visual impairment. So often you feel like you cannot see clearly, and even though you may have glasses or may usually not need glasses, suddenly your vision is very blurry and it's very difficult to see clearly. So that's one of the symptoms which disturbs me a lot personally, and many other people I'm sure with brain fog can relate. And if you do have brain fog, maybe you can put in the comments below what your main symptoms of brain fogs, because it seems to be vary from one person to another, both in the strength of it and also in the effect. Then you got comprehension. Sometimes people will tell me something really simple and that before I would know it really well, and all of a sudden I can't hold a sentence in my mind to make sense of what's happening and what they're telling me, and so my comprehension level goes really low. So that's another thing there. Then you have hearing loss. So not just you can't understand sometimes you can't even hear, and it could be a bit like noise in your ear, or it could just be that your hearing is so affected that you cannot hear and capture what people are saying in general, and it's very confusing, and it makes you feel not yourself, because especially for me it started when I was very young, and I know I used to have very good sharp senses and all of a sudden they dissipate. Speech loss. This was the hardest one for me. For me, I'm very good with speaking. I'm an extrovert. I approach people. I make new friends, connections. That's me. I'm very good at connecting people. And when that was gone, that was difficult. That you can't speak clearly and straight and string a proper sentence. That was really not a nice thing. Memory problems. So on top of this, you forget things. So I used to forget everything, and to this day I struggle to remember things. I studied psychology, and at one point I even taught psychology at university. I used to know so many research papers and interesting facts about the mind and the human body and traits and personalities and all of these interesting fun things. I can barely remember these things. I used to speak really good French to a degree. I can barely speak French now. So you forget a lot of things, and also short-term memory. So someone will tell me, Idan, if you're going down the shops, can you get me some kale or some carrots, some lemons, something? And I'll get there and I'll be totally blank what they wanted. Where in the past my memory was so sharp and I would remember lists and lists and lists, and I remember the scents in the room and what people were and how it smelled and felt and the amount of light and noise. And so from having that gift to becoming very affected, and I had that gift of remembering, I believe, or it was developed in me because I'm severely dyslexic. So my friend actually writes for me all of these notes. So I had a great memory, and that's gone. I do believe it will come back. So it's not all doom and gloom. Stay positive, guys. Again, if anyone can relate with memory problems or any of these, please write in the comments below. Let me know what one affects you most, or if you know someone that is affected by that and how are they coping. Motor coordination. So for example, I used to play computer games. I was so good at car racing, motorbikes, you know, typical kid stuff. And as I grew older and the condition kicked in from being really good at these things, and it's all about fine motor movement in your hands and controlling, depends sometimes you have something that you hold, like a console. I became so bad. I pressed too late to kick or to box or to the throttle of the accelerator. It's crazy. So that went, and also like I would take up and I would, it's fell, and I would be like, I'm not clumsy usually. I'm very good with my hands, and I can barely hold the cup properly. So that's something that was really affected. and with that comes balance as well. Quality of life in general, the quality of life is affected if you cannot hear and understand what people are talking to, and you can't speak back, of course, and you can end up losing your job. And that happened to me. I had to quit all my work, and it was overwhelming, and I wasn't performing, and it wasn't right. It's not fair on the employer. Decision making, you would struggle to make good decisions, because if you can't make up your mind, because you can't hold information for long enough to know what's right and what's not, and what to do and how to do. So all of these things are impaired, and I made quite a few mistakes, and it's a shame, but that's the condition. And part of my healing journey, which I'll talk in a bit, is learning to accept it. And in here, weakness. Sorry, my dyslexia caught me here. Weakness. So you feel weak all in all. I don't know if brain fog is relating directly to weakness, but often people that have brain fogs have either chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, post-chemotherapy cognitive impairment. So you tend to have that weakness, and that's really, really draining and scary, and you're not feeling yourself. You know, I'm not talking about being a weightlifter at a gym or a sprinter, just getting out of bed on your own and taking and to pull the duvet over you. So I got a bit of a stammer there, but I'm in a very good place. I'm recording this video, so I'm good. There's many times I want to share lots of information, and I can't bring myself to string the sentences clearly. Spatial awareness. So that's when you get dropped in the middle of a desert in this day and age, maybe where we live, in the middle of a mall, of a shopping center. You know, oh yeah, there's exit there, there's H&M there, there is so-and-so shop there. And with that kind of brain fog, you can't orientate yourself, you don't know. And also when you're driving, you used to know so many routes. You used to know the route from Woodford, from Chigwell, from many parts in East London, from Southwood, from Wanstead, from Leighton, all the way to central London, off by heart. I used to drive it, and I memorized it so easily. But and also as a child, I used to know all the towns we lived in, and we moved quite a few towns. I really had a good awareness of where I am and reading a map. But that goes down so badly with brain fogs. And again, this video is not to say, oh, how horrible it is. And no, it is horrible, it's not nice, but it's not the end of the world. There's way we can do to improve ourselves. And one of them is to accept that this is me, this is the new me. It's not the brilliant young Idan that can rhyme, that can rap, that can speak different languages and hear something in Russian and bang, and I got it, and I used to be able to repeat it back. That Idan is gone, and sure, it was great to have that, but I guess you can look at it to an extent maybe like youth. When you are young, you're very, very strong and quick, and you learn better, and that's like aging, but not for a 30-year-old. This is more aging for what maybe we would expect for much older people, but it is what it is, and it's good. It made me humble. It gave me a lot of things to learn. I do believe I became a better person since I got my condition. Not that I was a horrible person before, but it made me relate to older people, to vulnerable people much more. It gave you like an insight. It gave me at least an insight. Causes. Some people say it's hormones, some people say toxins. There's many other things. It could be trauma, psychological. Who knows? We don't really know 100%. I believe with mine it's a combination of both. There's some kind of adrenals, hormones not kicking in maybe to get me up in the morning. The cortisol, you need a little bit to get going, movement. It's very, very difficult to know. When you read people with high testosterone, the brain seem to be sharper. I think in racing drivers, they take the corners better. They can have the spatial awareness increased. I think something along that could be some of that. And toxins, I had some silver filling, amalgam fillings. I think they leached. I think that's had a negative effect on me. And just diet and eating maybe from aluminium foil, maybe that has something some toxin in it, some solvents in soaps and shampoos and toothpaste and all of that, some plastics, bisphenol A, BPA, yeah, bisphenol, I think that's how you say it with my brain fog. Phthalates, maybe they call even those plastic elements, probably coming from oil. So there can be some stuff from there. So maybe you can tell me what do you believe is the causes. Diet, sugar, lots of things. I can say I know certain like histamines intolerance, so when I have a banana or an avocado I have a reaction. So there's theory about histamine reaction as well with the gut and leaky gut. So definitely when my gut is better and I'm looking after what I'm eating and my IBS is better, I definitely feel less brain fog. And now we're going to go to things which you can do, and perhaps again you can tell me what things you do that helps you, because I'm here to learn just as much as you here, maybe to get some information. So speak to a professional. If you feel you have brain fog, definitely always speak to a GP. GPs are very intelligent people often, and they study a lot, and they might have another case because they are dealing with sick people. So they may say, oh, that person, I send him to a so-and-so doctor, a rheumatologist or a gastroenterologist, and they gave them a good diet, or they gave them some exercises, or eliminate certain things in there, or actually they had an esophagus problem, and God knows what and it actually worked. So speak to a professional. They may even refer you to counseling if it bothers you, because when you're unwell you can have not nice thoughts, and the voice in your head can put you down, so you want to make sure you're covering that. Seek therapy, which again, it's maybe see a counselor, someone to talk to. It helps. Like I studied psychology and some counseling in my past as well, and hypnotherapy just recently. Yeah, I'm a big believer of therapy. I'm a big believer that the mind can affect the body and the body can affect the mind. So it's something to look into. Check your diet. As I said, sugars, histamine intolerance, certain fats, terrible. I find personally when I do fruit island or fruitarian, frugivore, I feel much better. It's a bit cold in the UK, so it's harder to sustain, but that's something that I experiment with. I've done a lot of different diets, so something for you to look into. Gluten is an inflammatory. I have no doubt that it will become a common knowledge in no time. Gluten is really difficult on my system, and I would imagine it's on most other people as well. Mild exercise, walking, really important. It's very easy when you have that, just stay stuck indoor and to leave everything, but try walking, try something to exercise a little bit, gently, yoga, pilates, whatever you can, stretching, just to get that blood going, and hopefully that will improve your lymphatic system drainage. Supplements, so and that's in my particular case it relates to DNA testing. So I've done with Panacea Health Hub a DNA testing, and what they found that my L-glutamine, I think that's how you say it, it's glutathione, it's like a mother antioxidant in the body. I have missing genes regarding producing it, so maybe my liver is clogged and therefore toxins stay longer in me, and because of that, and I had quite a few operations, hernia repairs, tonsillitis, so all of these things. So it's possible that because of that, I get toxins left in me for much longer, and therefore I struggle, and maybe that's affect the way I think in my mind. Other supplements you may find is antioxidants in general, maybe vitamin C, maybe enzymes, maybe probiotics, black seed oil, nigella seeds, all kinds of things like that, cumin, turmeric, all of these things may be helpful to you. Ginger in a capsule helps me, I find to be good. It helps my digestion, and then my brain seems to be a bit better. So if I eat a banana and avocado and I feel heavy and something, when I have some either something that increases my acid like ginger or bitter herb or or HCl tablets, hydrochloric acid, I believe they are called. That seems to help me. So there's certainly with me something in the diet that makes it worse. I don't think it's just diet with me, but there's certainly something in the diet. This is about brain fog for now. I'm getting a bit hot with all of these lights, as you can see. If you have an additional comment or something to share with us, a knowledge, a book, and I wrote, do your research, look at books, find audios if it's easier for you than reading, because for me it's difficult to read during these times that I use audio. And then you should really look into that and find a way to take control back of your health and try to do something about it. I believe there's always something to do. I believe all in all it's all positive, and we can learn and grow from this, and we can learn to adapt and work on a different level. So I've ended up very passionate about nutrition, although my core is education, but I've ended up becoming even more passionate about nutrition. I was always passionate about nutrition, but not to this level. But because I had to face my own health crisis, that made me look into nutrition and well-being in general. I hope this video has been useful to you. Click on the like below if you can to help support. Share with others that might be going through something like that, and take care.